The 12 Chairs by Ilfent Petrov. Chapter 18. The Furniture Museum. Liza wiped her mouth with a handkerchief and brushed the crumbs off her blouse. She felt happier. She was standing in front of a notice that read Museum of Furniture Making. To return home would be awkward. She had no one she could go and see. There were 20 kopecks in her pocket. So Liza decided to begin her life of independence with a visit to the museum. Checking her cash in hand, she went into the lobby. Inside, she immediately bumped into a man with a shaggy beard who was staring at a malachite column with a grieved expression and muttering through his mustache, "People certainly lived well." Liza looked respectfully at the column and went upstairs. For 10 minutes or so, she sauntered through small square rooms with ceilings so low that people entering them looked like giants. The rooms were furnished in the style of the period of Emperor Paul, with mahogany and Karelian birch furniture that was austere, magnificent, and militant. 2 square dressers, the doors of which were crisscrossed with spears, stood opposite a writing desk. The desk was vast. Sitting at it would have been like sitting at the theater square with the Bolshoi Theater with its colonnade and 4 bronze horses drawing Apollo to the first night of the red poppy as an inkwell. At least that is how it seemed to Liza, who was being reared on carrots like a rabbit. There were high-backed chairs in the corners of the room with tops twisted to resemble the horns of a ram. The sunshine lay on their peach-colored covers. The chairs looked very inviting, but it was forbidden to sit on them. Liza made a mental comparison to see how a priceless Empire chair would look beside her red-striped mattress. The result was not too bad. She read the plate on the wall, which gave a scientific and ideological justification of the period, and regretting that she and Nicky did not have a room in this palatial building, went out, unexpectedly finding herself in a corridor. Along the left-hand side at floor level was a line of semicircular windows. Through them, Liza could see below her a huge columned hall with 2 rows of large windows. The hall was also full of furniture, and visitors strolled about inspecting it. Liza stood still. Never before had she seen a room under her feet. Marveling and thrilling at the sight, she stood for some time gazing downward. Suddenly she noticed the friend she had made that day, Bender and his traveling companion, the distinguished-looking old man with the shaven head. They were moving from the chairs towards the desks. "Good," said Liza. "Now I won't be so bored." She brightened up considerably, ran downstairs, and immediately lost her way. She came to a red drawing room in which there were about 40 pieces of furniture. It was walnut furniture with curved legs. There was no exit from the drawing room, so she had to run back through a circular room with windows at the top, apparently furnished with nothing but flowered cushions. She hurried past Renaissance brocade chairs, Dutch dressers, a large Gothic bed with a canopy resting on 4 twisted columns. In a bed like that, a person would have looked no larger than a nut. At length, Liza heard the drone of a batch of tourists as they listened inattentively to the guide unmasking the imperialistic designs of Catherine II in connection with the deceased Empress' love of Louis Quinze furniture. This was in fact the large columned hall with the 2 rows of large windows. Liza made towards the far end where her acquaintance Comrade Bender was talking heatedly to his shaven-headed companion. As she approached, she could hear a sonorous voice saying, "The furniture is chic moderne, but not apparently what we want." "No, but there are other rooms as well. We must examine everything systematically." "Hello," said Liza. They both turned around and immediately frowned. "Hello, Comrade Bender. I'm glad I found you. It's boring by myself. Let's look at everything together." The concessionaires exchanged glances. Ippolit Matveyevich assumed a dignified air, although the idea that Liza might delay their important search for the chair with the jewels was not a pleasant one. "We are typical provincials," said Bender impatiently. "But how did you get here, Miss Moscow?" "Quite by accident. I had a row with Nicky." "Really?" Ippolit Matveyevich observed. "Well, let's leave this room," said Ostap. "But I haven't looked at it yet. It's so nice." "That's done it," Ostap whispered to Vorobyaninov. And turning to Liza, he added, "There's absolutely nothing to see here. The style is decadent, the Kerensky period." "I'm told there's some Ham's furniture somewhere here," Ippolit Matveyevich declared. "Maybe we should see that." Liza agreed, and taking Vorobyaninov's arm, she thought him a remarkably nice representative of science, went towards the exit. Despite the seriousness of the situation, at this decisive moment in the treasure hunt, Bender laughed good-humoredly as he walked behind the couple. He was amused at the chief of the Comanche in the role of a cavalier. Liza was a great hindrance to the concessionaires. Whereas they could determine at a glance whether or not the room contained the furniture they were after, and if not, automatically make for the next, Liza browsed at length in each section. She read all the printed tags, made cutting remarks about the other visitors, and dallied at each exhibit. Completely without realizing it, she was mentally adapting all the furniture she saw to her own room and requirements. She did not like the Gothic bed at all. It was too big. Even if Nicky in some miraculous way acquired a room 6 yards square, the medieval couch would still not fit into it. Liza walked round and round the bed, measuring its true area in paces. She was very happy. She did not notice the sour faces of her companions, whose chivalrous natures prevented them from heading for the ham's room at full pelt.
"Let's be patient," Ostap whispered. "The furniture won't run away, and don't squeeze the girl, Marshal. I'm jealous."
Vorobianinov laughed smugly. The rooms went on and on. There was no end to them. The furniture of the Alexander period was displayed in batches. Its relatively small size delighted Liza. "Look, look!" she cried, seizing Ippolit Matveyevich by the sleeve. "You see that bureau? That would suit our room wonderfully, wouldn't it?"
"Charming furniture," said Ostap testily, "but decadent."
"I've been in here already," said Liza as she entered the red drawing-room. "I don't think it's worth stopping here." To her astonishment, the indifferent companions were standing stock still by the door like sentries. "Why, if you stop, let's go on. I'm tired." "Wait," said Ippolit Matveyevich, freeing his arm. "One moment." The large room was crammed with furniture. Ham's chairs were arranged along the wall and around a table. The couch in the corner was also encircled by chairs. Their curved legs and comfortable backs were excitingly familiar to Ippolit Matveyevich. Ostap looked at him questioningly. Vorobianinov was flushed. "You're tired, young lady," he said to Liza. "Sit down here a moment to rest while he and I walk around a bit. This seems to be an interesting room." They sat Liza down. Then the concessionaires went over to the window.
"Are they the ones?"
Ostap asked. "It looks like it. I must have a closer look."
"Are they all here?"
"I'll just count them. Wait a moment." Vorobianinov began shifting his eyes from one chair to another. "Just a second," he said at length. 20 chairs? That can't be right. There are only supposed to be 12.
"Take a good look. They may not be the right ones."
They began walking among the chairs. "Well?" Ostap asked impatiently. "The back doesn't seem to be the same as in mine."
"So they aren't the ones?"
"No, they're not."
"What a waste of time it was taking up with you."
Ippolit Matveyevich was completely crushed.
"All right," said Ostap. "The hearing is continued. A chair isn't a needle in a haystack. We'll find it. Give me the orders. We will have to establish unpleasant contact with the museum curators. Sit down beside the girl and wait. I'll be back soon."
"Why are you so depressed?" asked Liza. "Are you tired?" Ippolit Matveyevich tried not to answer. "Does your head ache?" "Yes, slightly. I have worries, you know. Lack of a woman's affection has an effect on one's tenor in life." Liza was at first surprised, and then, looking at her bald-headed companion, felt truly sorry for him. Vorobianinov's eyes were full of suffering. His pince-nez could not hide the sharply outlined bags underneath them. The rapid change from the quiet life of a clerk in a district registry office to the uncomfortable, irksome existence of a diamond hunter and adventurer had left its mark. Ippolit Matveyevich had become extremely thin, and his liver had started paining him. Under the strict supervision of Bender, he was losing his own personality and rapidly being absorbed by the powerful intellect of the son of a Turkish citizen. Now that he was left alone for a moment with the charming Liza, he felt an urge to tell her about his trials and tribulations, but did not dare to do so. "Yes," he said, gazing tenderly at his companion. "That's how it is. How are you, Elizabeth Petrovna? And what's your name?" They exchanged names and patronymics. A tale of true love, thought Ippolit Matveyevich, peering into Liza's simple face. So passionately and so irresistibly did the old marshal want a woman's affection that he immediately seized Liza's tiny hand in his own wrinkled hands and began talking enthusiastically of Paris. He wanted to be rich, extravagant, and irresistible. He wanted to captivate a beauty from the all-women orchestra and drink champagne with her in a private dining room to the sound of music. What was the use of talking to a girl who knew absolutely nothing about women's orchestras or wine, and who by nature would not appreciate the delights of that kind of life? But he so much wanted to be attractive. Ippolit Matveyevich enchanted Liza with his account of Paris. "Are you a scientist?" asked Liza. "Yes, to a certain extent," replied Ippolit Matveyevich, feeling that since first meeting Bender he had regained some of the nerve that he had lost in recent years. And how old are you, if it's not an indiscreet question? That has nothing to do with the science which I am at present representing. Liza was squashed by the prompt and apt reply. But anyway, 30, 40, 50? Almost. 37. Oh, you look much younger. Ippolit Matveyevich felt happy. When will you give me the pleasure of seeing you again? He asked through his nose. Liza was very ashamed. She wriggled about on her seat and felt miserable. Where has Comrade Bender got to? She asked in a thin voice. So when then? Asked Vorobianinov impatiently. When and where shall we meet? Well, I don't know, whenever you like. Is today all right? Today? Please. Well, all right, today if you like. Come and see us. No, let's meet outside. The weather's so wonderful at present. Do you know the poem, It's Mischievous May, It's Magical May, who is waving his fan of freshness? Is that Zharov? I think so. Today, then? And where? How strange you are. Anywhere you like, by the cabinet if you want. Do you know it? As soon as it's dark. Hardly had Ippolit Matveyevich time to kiss Liza's hand, which he did solemnly and in 3 installments when Ostap returned. He was very businesslike.
I'm sorry, mademoiselle, he said quickly, but my friend and I cannot see you home. A small but important matter has arisen. We have to go somewhere, urgently.
Ippolit Matveyevich caught his breath. Goodbye, Elizabeth Petrovna, he said hastily. I'm very, very sorry, but we're in a terrible hurry. The partners ran off, leaving the astonished Liza in the room so abundantly furnished with Ham's chairs.
If it weren't for me, said Ostap as they went downstairs, not a damn thing would get done. Take your hat off to me. Go on, don't be afraid, your head won't fall off. Listen, the museum has no use for your furniture. The right place for it is not a museum, but the barracks of a punishment battalion. Are you satisfied with the situation?
What nerve! Exclaimed Vorobianinov, who had begun to free himself from the other's powerful intellect.
Silence, said Ostap coldly. You don't know what's happening. If we don't get hold of your furniture, everything's lost. We'll never see it. I have just had a depressing conversation with the curator of this historical refuse dump.
Well, and what did he say? Cried Ippolit Matveyevich, this curator of yours.
He said all he needed to. Don't worry, tell me, I said to him, how do you explain the fact that the furniture requisitioned in Stargorod and sent to your museum isn't here? I asked him politely, of course, as a comrade. Which furniture? He asked. Such things do not occur in my museum. I immediately shoved the orders under his nose. He began rummaging in the files. He searched for about half an hour and finally came back. Well, guess what happened to the furniture?
Not lost, squeaked Vorobianinov.
No, just imagine it remains safe and sound through all the confusion. As I told you, it has no museum value. It was dumped in a storehouse, and only yesterday, mind you, only yesterday, after 7 years, it had been in the storehouse 7 years, it was sent to be auctioned. The auction is being held by the Chief Scientific Administration, and provided no one bought it either yesterday or this morning, it's ours.
Quick, Ippolit Matveyevich shouted.
Taxi,
Ostap yelled. They got in without even arguing about the price.
Take your hat off to me. Don't be afraid, Hofmarschall. Wine, women, and cards will be provided. Then we'll settle for the light blue waistcoat as well.
As friskily as foals, the concessionaires tripped into the Petrovka arcade where the auction rooms were located. In the first auction room, they caught sight of what they had long been chasing. All 10 chairs were lined along the wall. The upholstery had not even become darker, nor had it faded or been in any way spoiled. The chairs were as fresh and clean as when they had first been removed from the supervision of the zealous Claudia Ivanovna.
Are those the ones?
Asked Ostap. My God, Vorobianinov kept repeating. They're the ones, the very ones. There's no doubt this time.
Let's make certain just in case,
said Ostap, trying to remain calm. They went up to an auctioneer.
These chairs are from the Furniture Museum, aren't they?
These? Yes, they are.
And they're for sale?
Yes.
At what price?
No price yet. They're up for auction.
Today?
No, the auction is finished for today. Tomorrow at 5.
And they're not up for sale at the moment?
No, tomorrow at 5. They could not leave the chairs at once just like that. Do you mind if we have a look at them? Ippolit Matveyevich stammered. The concessionaires examined the chairs at great length, sat on them, and for the sake of appearances looked at the other lots. Vorobianinov was breathing hard and kept nudging Ostap.
Take your hat off to me, Marshal.
Ippolit Matveyevich was not only prepared to take his hat off to Ostap, he was even ready to kiss the soles of his crimson boots. Tomorrow, he kept saying. He felt an urge to sing.